Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, episode 10. So yeah, we're doing one episode of She-Ra this week, and the reason is the same reason we only did two for Loud House, as I mentioned in that video. And the reason is simply because I'm late on pre-recording those. It's Saturday night and everything, and so it's like I have to get through those, and I also still have to work on getting the Saturday reaction to JoJo uploaded. I actually have not gotten that uploaded yet, so I have to get that up as well. So it's just like, I don't want to spend all night on this stuff, so yeah. Just doing one episode this time around, and last time we left off, our heroes, the princesses, invaded the bad guys' base to rescue Glimmer and Bow, and they succeeded. But Entrapta was left behind and seemingly, I guess, in their eyes, killed. But I still think that there was not enough evidence to prove that. I don't think there was any real proof that she was even injured. There was way too many ways she could have escaped that, way too many ways she could have gotten out of that. I just think that they're jumping to conclusions. And like with pretty much any show or whatnot, unless you see the character die, or it just straight out says that they died, you can't believe it. Because a lot of times they'll end up coming back, or it's like they never died or whatnot. No, I mean, there are situations where characters will clearly die and then be brought back because of retconning anyways. Both Wakfu and Ruby prove that. Not getting over either of those with Tristapin or Cinder. But either way, it's like, it's really just, there's no real evidence in this case. And I feel like they're just like, they're abandoning her. They're abandoning her with no real reason. They didn't even try to go back and save her. Yes, they had to get out of there, but it's like, I feel like they let even if unknowingly, they let their prejudices against her, finding her really weird and everything, I feel like they, even if unknowingly, let that get in the way of their just critical thinking skills. Because it's like, I just don't believe that she's dead. I don't think there's enough evidence to believe that. Even from their point of view, I just don't think there's enough evidence to support that idea. They made a bad decision. And now I don't know what's going to happen in this episode, so I don't know how they're going to take this. I don't know, like, if this is going to affect them or not. I hope it does, because, I mean, I hope they feel guilt over this, for choosing to leave and everything, and choosing to just basically abandon her. But it's probably not going to happen. If anything, they're probably just going to feel upset that she died, and they're probably just going to blame themselves for that, and not actually take responsibility for the fact that they don't know anything about whether or not she's alive or not. I'm not going to let that go. But otherwise, yeah, they've got everyone back. And Shadow Weaver just keeps being proven to be kind of useless in all of this. It's like, Shadow Weaver has some magical ability and stuff, but when it comes to these princesses, she just can't hold a candle to them. And honestly, I think she lets her emotion gain too much control over her. and she doesn't actually... The same problem as the princess is doesn't think critically about things. While Catra actually is thinking more critically, and which is why her plan in the first place worked. And every time Shadow Weaver tries to do anything, she fails hardcore. And then, of course, blames everyone else because she won't take responsibility for her actions. Hey, it's like our current administration here in America. But in all seriousness, yeah, it's just, I'm really excited to see where this goes. I have a lot of faith in this series. It's been doing amazing. Even with my complaints about them just assuming Entrapta is dead, with no actual evidence. Even with my complaints about that, I still think it's a great show. Honestly, I'd say it has the possibility, depending on how these last few episodes go, of being one of my favorites. We'll just have to see, though. Hopefully it ends on a really good note. And hopefully this episode really kickstarts that for these last, 4 episodes, I think? Because this is episode 10. And I think there's 13 total. Yeah, there's 13 total. So 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah. So the last 4 episodes of the season. We do know, I believe we know more. I think it's, yeah, more is coming for She-Ra. So it's like, we've got more to look forward to, but still. I just feel like, this does need to end strong. Because, I mean, either way, it's going to be great. But if it ends strong enough, it'll be amazing. And it'll be one of my favorites. So, that being said, let's just get into this. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. You know, I feel like it's a cliche to say, but I told you so. I don't want to brag or anything. I don't want to just, like, hang it over people's heads, but it's like, it was so fucking obvious. If you really thought that there was any chance she was dead, I don't know what to say. I don't even see how you could possibly think that. There's no logical way, in my eyes, that could have been thought of. There was absolutely zero evidence to support that idea. And it's just... I was proven right. I was proven right. She survived. Not only did she survive, she's completely fine. She's not even injured. She didn't even seem to know that anything happened. They made a stupid assumption with no evidence because, again, whether intentionally or not, most likely unintentionally, their biases got in the way of their critical thinking skills. If they had taken a moment and thought about things, they would have understood that she was fine. They would have gone back, gotten her out, and escaped with her. Instead, they created this exceptionally overbearing guilt in Adora that is mentally crippling her. And now that Catra is right there, it's probably going to lead to a fight that Adora's not going to be able to win. Because she's too mentally fucked up. Because of the stupidity of these characters. I mean, I get they're teenagers, and I mean, I was stupid in a lot of ways as a teenager. And a lot of teenagers don't think critically about certain things. Yes, it's true. And when you're a teenager, you think you know everything, you jump to conclusions. Yeah, I mean, maybe not every teenager, of course, obviously. But just in general. It's understandable that they would act this way, but that doesn't make it any less infuriating. It's believable. It's understandable. I'm not blaming the show. Don't get me wrong. When I'm upset about this, when I'm ranting on about this all, I'm not blaming the show, believe it or not. I'm blaming more along... it's more like I'm just upset with what's going on. Because the show's not, like, going out of the way to, like, paint them as being necessarily in the right for their actions or beliefs here. It's not saying, like, that they're in the right and anyone who agrees with their point of view is wrong. No. It's more along the lines of that this is just their mistake, that they didn't confirm anything and just kind of made these assumptions. And again, I'm not blaming the show, I'm not blaming the characters per se, I'm just upset because they are in the wrong here. But in a way, I kind of appreciate that. I always kind of appreciate it when our heroes, our main characters, can be in the wrong. I'm not saying that I like main characters who are like Light Yagami from Death Note, who are like evil. But I like it when a main character, a good guy, can do something bad, can do something a little messed up, can do something that is questionable. Because it shows that they're, again, for lack of a better word, because they really haven't gone into what their actual races would be referred to as. It shows that they're human. It shows that they're people, like anyone else. That they're capable of mistakes. So I want to stress that. I am not upset at the show. And I wouldn't even say, like, exactly that I am upset at the characters, per se. Well, okay, I could say I'm upset at the characters, but not in terms of how they're written. I'm upset at them... I'm upset at the characters for them, for how they are, because they're written fine. It's just that I'm just upset by that kind of mindset and all. That's all. You get what I'm saying. But I did like the entire thing that was going on with Glimmer. I did like how she was trying to hide her glitching from her mother, how she was... how she believed her mother to be, like, so perfect and so amazing and never feeling guilt and everything, and then finds out that her mother blames herself for her father's death. That the queen basically says that she killed her husband. And that's horrible. That's sad. And it shows that she's not perfect, and that she has her own troubles. And it's like, it's shit, because that's so harsh, that's so heavy to just thrust on your daughter like that, to just bring to the table. It's like, again, I like the idea that she is glitching, because it shows that Shadow Weaver's machine did have an effect on her. That there is some lasting damage. And I assume it's going to get fixed at some point. I just don't know exactly how or what's going to happen to do so. But I like that this is happening, and I like that there is this complication in things. I just feel like it would have been... It would have been better if it wasn't also predicated on the entire thing with Entrapta. Because And I'm not even saying this just because I was upset by the entire fact that they were assuming Entrapta was dead and everything. I don't think that this part of the storyline, with Glimmer having these glitches and avoiding her mother and everything and trying to hide it all, I think it would just work better if it was kind of its own thing. And if it focused more on maybe the idea that Glimmer feels like she fucked up because she was captured. Because she was made to be weak. She was made to fail. I think that would have had a little bit of a bigger impact than by having her issue being with thinking she killed her friend when it's so fucking obvious that she didn't. And it should be so fucking obvious from her point of view, too. Because it's so obvious, even obviously before this episode where it revealed it, because of how obvious it was, it's hard to take seriously. It's hard to take it seriously as this big struggle for her, because it's like, yeah, we knew in the last episode that Entrapta was fine. So basically, at this point, she's having all this emotional trouble over nothing. But if it was because she had been caught, if it was because she had felt like she failed because of that, that would have had a bigger emotional pull. Because that was something that she couldn't help. That was something that was, like, that was done to her. So while, of course, her guilt over it wouldn't have necessarily been founded, it would have at least been more relatable and believable, and would have just had more of an emotional pull with her blaming herself for something that she couldn't control. In this case, it was something she could control, but they made a rash decision and didn't even really critically think about anything. And it's just like, oh my gosh. I'm just... The fact that it's connected to that is just what's irritating me here. But again, as I said, stressing this, I am not actually saying that the show is bad. I am not saying the show is bad. I'm not saying the way it's being written is bad. I'm just saying that, well, I mean, it could be done maybe a little better. But I'm saying I'm more upset with their mindsets as the characters themselves. I just feel like it could have been a lot, it could have been worse in terms of the writing. It was all based around the fact that they're teenagers. So, which is why, again, I can completely believe and understand how they would make this mistake, but that doesn't mean I like that the mistake. Then there's the part with Entrapta kind of starting to work with the bad guys. I like that idea. I like the idea that Entrapta believes she was abandoned by the other princesses, and because of it starts to work for the bad guys. The only problem I feel with that is that she went right back to being her kooky, silly self afterwards. After she came to that realization, after we saw her start to cry and everything, she kind of went right back to being her kooky old self. And I feel like that undermined the emotion of it. I feel like it was better and more, it would have been better and more emotional if she was actually really serious and kind of somber from that point forward. I feel that would have helped deliver how big of a deal that was for her. Again, it wasn't terrible, and Entrapta's entertaining in her own way. I can see why they wouldn't want to completely give that up. And I love the fact that she can just escape from her prison bonds at any time and have no issue with that. But that she's willing to go back in. Again, as I said during the reaction, it reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender when Aang did that when they were in front of the Earth King. The Dai Li had used earthbending to cuff him with some rock behind his back. And he just, like, uses airbending, pulls his arms out, and then puts them back in. So showing that he's not even really captured. He's just he's letting it happen because to be respectful and everything. I love that Entrapta did that too in here. And the ending here with She-Ra or Adora rather going to this place to try and hone her powers and everything, and Catra coming up behind her. This is definitely leading to something big next episode. Whether it's going to be a full-on fight or something else, maybe they're finally going to talk through things. I'm just really hoping for something big. Now, one thing to note, maybe I missed something, but was Shadow Weaver actually stripped of her rank? I think I might have missed something, because I think I might have been talking. But Shadow Weaver, it seemed like she had no control over Catra anymore. And Catra's a Force Captain, but Shadow Weaver would still have control, I would think. Unless she was stripped of her power. Which, I mean, after all of her failures, I could believe she would be. I think I just missed something. Because at the end there, when Catra's leaving, it's like, basically she's telling her, oh, you can't stop me anymore. That's basically what she was telling her. And it's like, Shadow Weaver's just disheveled and kind of a mess. And it almost seemed like it was trying to humanize her a little bit by making her like, oh, I just wanted you to become strong and stuff. And it's like, no, you didn't. You wanted to control her. And I've made comparisons with other shows recently. I've been watching a lot of Breaking Bad lately. I've finally gotten into the 5th and final season. I'm past the halfway point already. And a big point of this, and by the way, the 5th season of Breaking Bad's been out a long time now, so it's past the spoiler point. So I'm going to be talking about spoilers for this for a little bit. But there's a big point in season 5 where Walt is basically, he makes a point of saying, of talking about how he sees Jesse as family, basically. And how he's acting multiple times like he cares about him, and like he cares about certain things that Jesse cares about, such as this kid's death that happens during the season. And Jesse basically points out, you don't actually care. You don't give a fuck. All you care about is your business. All you care about is yourself. And it's like, as I'm watching and stuff, it's like, yeah, that's completely true. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, I won't say that he doesn't care about his family. Walt does care about his family, but he doesn't give a shit about others. He doesn't give a shit about how this meth hurts people or any of the quote-unquote collateral damage that has been caused from all of this. He doesn't give a shit. As long as it furthers his goal, that's all that matters to him. And his goal isn't even just to get enough money to support his family anymore. He's well past that point. At this point, his goal has been to just continue going. And at the point where I'm at in the season, he did quit, but only to try and put his family back together. And then when everything started to go tits up after that, he tries to have Jesse assassinated and shit. And it's just like, he just continues to prove how corrupt he is. Even when he's technically out, he's still corrupt. He's still hiring this white supremacist gang. And it's just like, he would never be able to go out completely. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because it's like Shadow Weaver here, she's trying to convince Catra, oh, I just wanted you to become strong. This was all for you. I went too far sometimes, but it was all to make you stronger and stuff. And it's like, fuck no, it wasn't. You did it because you wanted to control her. Same with Adora. You wanted to control them. You wanted to have someone to be your puppet. To do your dirty work for you. Because you're not good at it yourself. You fucking suck. You are terrible at actually handling shit yourself, and so you just wanted to control someone else so they would do it instead. You just wanted control and power. And now that you've apparently had that power stripped from you, you're trying to win back Catra's trust. You're trying to convince her that it was all for her, and she's not falling for it. Like she said, she doesn't need you. And it's just like how Jesse doesn't need Walt in Breaking Bad. How Walt is only harming Jesse in the long run. And it's the same thing with this. I think being outside of Shadow Weaver's grasp, being outside of her control, is going to help Catra. And I think, and I still am convinced that at some point, maybe not this season, but at some point, Catra is going to turn over to the good side. And I think that this is the start of it. This is the true start of it. Because allowing her to break free of Shadow Weaver's control is going to allow her to start to come to a realization about a lot of stuff. But yeah, I did really enjoy this episode. Don't get me wrong. As I said, I'm going to keep stressing it. I am not upset at the writing. I am not upset at the series. Me being upset was just because of how stupidly obvious it was that Entrapta was not dead. And how it's more me being upset with the characters in universe for making that silly mistake, but not being upset with them with how they're written, because I feel like it's actually good that they're written as being flawed, as having these flawed mindsets and issues and making these mistakes, because it makes them feel more human. It makes them feel more real. They're not always perfect. They don't always succeed. Even when everything else is going right, they make one massive mistake that fucks so much up. And I respect that, honestly. I respect that the writers of the show, the creators, everyone, were able to do this so well. So yeah. Yeah, I can appreciate this. I can legitimately appreciate what they were doing here. But again, just because it's well written, just because it's actually executed really well, does not mean that I'm not going to get upset at the fact that this is still happening. Okay? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, tell me what you thought of the episode in the comments below. And yeah, I right now, I just think in the next episode, the main focus is going to be twofold. Catra and Adora coming face to face and either fighting or having a discussion about things, finally actually talking things through. Or maybe even both. They might, maybe they'll even remember the good times they had and talk about, like, just everything that brought them up to this point. That would be a good thing to do. That would definitely help their relationship just start to really, like, build upon itself. And the second part will definitely be with Glimmer and her mother, and them trying to fix her glitches. Bo will probably be there too, of course. But yeah, I definitely think that this is leading to something. We have 3 more episodes left, and I do know that the season ends with a big battle. I don't know any details about it other than that. I just know that there's some big battle at the end, and that's kind of where the season ends off on, with this big battle. In fact, I believe the final episode I have heard is called The Battle of Bright Moon. Again, I don't know the details. I do know that little bit, though. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to escape the knowledge of that. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this episode. Despite all my complaining, I really did legitimately enjoy this episode. And it just continues to prove that this is a fantastic series. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, no spoilers. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing.